Kane, by Tom Bloom,
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
is a narrative tabletop role-playing game about being psychic soldiers on a campaign of sin extermination, hopefully without dying in the process. Welcome to our world. There's a secret layer for those with the eyes to see it, a psychic field generated by all of humanity, emotion, memory, apparitions of the past. Most of us can only kinda see it, feel it. Those are the lucky one. For the select unfortunate few, they can tap deeper into the shadow presence, and sometimes, through trauma, stress, or extreme circumstances, this psychic field can breach through the human form and enter reality itself. This malignant growth will consume all, warping and bending reality to its will and feeding on flesh and minds of others. Collectively, these beings are called sins, and once they are born, they will continue to twist reality until they form a reality bubble called palace, and eventually, that palace will start rejecting reality and substituting it with its own. You are a tool, a weapon of the highly secretive and supergovernmental organization Kane in an official capacity of an exorcist. You have grace, the ability to perceive sins and manifest powerful and highly honed psychic techniques called blasphemies. You have a single purpose in this world, to hunt down all sins and execute them with extreme prejudice, until the stain has been wiped away. In summary, it's like the SCP Foundation except Chainsaw Man is with the D Squad. You all are going to die. To play Kane, you need a bunch of D6, the number of which increases depending on your skills, of which you have 10 plus a special one, and any advantages given to you. Any 4 plus you get is a success. More might be able to be cashed in for better narrative success in some circumstances. However, for the most part, usually in combat, your dice roll will get hard or risky. Hard in this case means that you only get success on a 6, and the situation that makes your roll hard includes almost everything really, good fucking luck, and risky is an additional roll made by the admin, the GM equivalent here, that determines exactly how screwed you are. You can succeed the roll and still get something bad in your way, and if you fail while getting a 1, that's not good for you at all. This usually manifests a consequence or complication, like having the exorcist pay a cost, cutting off opportunity, starting a ticking clock, which is styled in talismans that have to be slashed through, very stylish, or of course, you can also just straight up getting hurt, though in this case the admin must clearly telegraph that there's a risk of stress to the situation to the exorcists. That said, you can take a lot more damage than normal people can. An exorcist can take up to 6 stress, and just to give you an idea of the scale here, a 4 is enough to straight up killing most people. Reaching 6 stress doesn't breach the threshold, but taking another hit will, in which case you take an injury and the talisman reset, and taking 3 injuries means the next hit will definitely kill you. Same goes for taking a whole lot of stress in one go. That might happen more often than you think. Unfortunately, things aren't over for you yet, as there's still one more safety net, if you can call it that. Sin overflow is exactly what it sounds like. The psychic energies within your body goes out of control, transforming you into a new sin. If you want to live, you have one last roll to pass, and if you fail, you just become a hole in reality, and even if you survive, you will be marked, making you less human and even more of a weapon. You also don't just only get sin overflow by dying, you can get it by going too deep with your power too. Moving back a bit, the 11th special skill I have mentioned is Psyche, a skill that only increases depend on your cat level, not this kind of cat, that kind of cat. Not every uses of your immense psychic power will push you towards sin overflow, but to use blasphemies, which are the only effective way of actually hurting a sin, outside of weapon of mass destruction, you have to use the psyche burst stored within you. Basically, as an exorcist, you are a human-shaped psychic battery and psyche bursts are your stored charges, and you only have 3 of it at max. In case you can't tell, that's not remotely enough. You can gain more by resting or other means, but more often than not, you will have to push past your limit. That's when you start getting sins, 1d3 of them each time you do anything that needs psyche burst without spending it. Exceed 10 sins, and your sin starts overflowing, but only at the end of the scene, so if you have made up your resolve already, you can absolutely go fucking wild. Both taking injuries and overusing your psychic power essentially lead down to the same self-destructive road. Add in how lethal this ttrpg can be, and I have done the math. The amount of time the player going fuck it while bleeding gallons of blood is going to be very high. Now that you know the basic, let's talk about what your exorcist is made out of. Your character is basically made out of 3 parts: skill, agenda, and blasphemies. If you played enough ttrpg, you already know what skill are, so let's move on to agenda. Agenda is basically who you are, what's your motivation, role in the group, etc. Agenda can give you two things: agenda abilities to aid your exorcist, and agenda items to fulfill in each hunt, or session, to earn EXP. You can also earn EXP by getting hurt and not dying, which said much about the average player character survival rate, 4 of which can be spent to boost one of your character's aspects, so improving your character will be a slow process. You can even choose to switch out agenda as your character changes themselves. Some agendas even have strict requirement, like being dead. Most are thankfully just normal personality traits, like overworking like a machine, following all orders even to the detriment of yourself, eager to find the truth about the world, good at working alone, or straight up just toxic Yuri. And then there's blasphemy, the psychic manifestations of a person's inner turmoil honed to a razor's edge, as the game calls it, from bending time, to editing reality, having a stand, to making your own palace, or just simply blasting everything away. The funniest blasphemy is bind, in which you learn how to bind and control sins. It is a complete heretical art where any practitioner will be executed, but also you can stay alive by joining Kane and be in their employment, which isn't saying much because every single exorcist not employed by Kane is either going to be employed by them soon or not be living at all. As I have mentioned, you pretty much need blasphemy to reliably damage a sin, as normal weapons, any not enhanced by psychic energies yet, can only do damage after passing a hard roll. You can absolutely kill a sin with a pipe, it's just gonna be really difficult and time consuming, time which you might not have. The power level of your blasphemies is also increased by your cat level. I know it said category, but cat level sounds way funnier. The more mission you have survived, the higher it goes, increasing the capability of your blasphemies in every aspect narratively, though with how many missions you need to survive to reach cat 4 or 5, it almost feels like the game is taunting you that you will not make it. The cat level also serve as a quick reference to see how powerful something can be, and also to measure the power difference between two different things to make rolls against them easier or harder, considering the kind of dynamic anime fight scene Kane wants to support with its narrative system. This makes figuring out power level quick and easy in both power and scale. You also have one last thing to aid you, your equipment. You have 5 kit points which can be used to pull out any as long as you have the point to spend, so losing a tool won't be a problem if you have spare, and each time you finish a hunt, besides EXP, you also earn scrip, which can be used to buy consumable, equipment, better service, and, funny enough, better fashion sense. Oh sure, if you are conservative about your scrip, you might get to buy your retirement, but you most likely gonna die anyway, so might as well die in style. How much are you gonna save before finally getting a shoe that actually fucking fit you? So, now that you understand what the body you will be wearing is capable of, let's talk about your target for extermination, sins. To summarize them again, sins are the failures of mankind made manifest. They are what happens when someone with high level of grace suffering a traumatic event. In essence, sins are what happens when Cain couldn't locate a potential exorcist in time. They come in 6 forms: ogres, born from people drowning in misery and self-hatred; idol, born out of desire to be wanted and loved; hound, born from desire for justice and vengeance, usually from someone already dead; centipede, born from people seeking self-destruction and ultraviolence, also the one most likely to just straight up kill you; toads, are just materialism manifest; and lord, born from those with a profound sense of loss, and desire control. Every single sin is always different, each twisting reality into different scaling levels of danger, and each are caused by the failure of the system, which would be important for you to figure out. Each hunt basically starts out like this: you get a briefing on what limited info you have on the sin, get deployed on field to track down where the palace could be located, investigate every info you can get on the sin and whoever it was born from, prepare for the final confrontation, then get in the palace to kill it. Essentially, things play out like it was just Monster Hunter. This funny enough makes Monster Care Squad the only ttrpg I know to have a very similar step-by-step play as Cain, even though the vibe could not be any more different. Aside from that, you are also on a strict time limit which can worsen with terrible roll, and if you fail, Cain will just nuke the site to prevent a sin event, which is very very bad, so, no pressure. That said, if you even made one attempt to just try to understand the cause behind the sin, the situation might still be salvageable, according to a rumor anyway, and when you do defeat a sin, you might have a choice. If you choose not to be a good hunter this way, your pay is deducted and you will get reprimanded, whatever that means. There's no reward for this, aside from the fact that you might, just might, give someone a glimmer of hope in this ruthless system, and if that's not bad enough, sometimes you might face other kinds of threats. I did say this is kinda like SCP after all. even including exorcists from an organization that totally do not exist, have fun, and try not to die. And that's basically it on Kane, a ttrpg about psychic soldiers cleaning the world of sins, maybe in their own ways. I wonder how many GM is gonna make a sin from a convenience store or fast food service employee, because that's one good way to make the players hesitant in straight up killing it, and it's also what I will definitely be doing. Anyway, you can get it now on itch.io. That's all for now, and I will see you all next time. Hello there, if you like this video, please subscribe and click that notification bell button. If you want to see the videos early as well as further support my channel, you can join in my Patreon page, or buy me some coffee, links in the description. Anyway, have a nice day.